Baldur's Gate 2. It's a big classic RPG from the year 2000. It's very good. I love it. The version you can find on Steam is an enhanced edition, a light remaster made by the company Beamdog in 2013. This version features new quests, dozens of new locations, and new companion characters. In this video, I will be focusing on exploring the Beamdog edition specifically. But first, important background information. The company Beamdog was founded in 2008 by former BioWare developers. They have established themselves as a custodian of classic BioWare and Black Isle RPGs, producing a number of enhanced editions. This company and its products tend to generate a lot of online drama. How do I even begin to explain? See, a few weeks ago, in an unrelated conversation, someone brought up an old story about a Russian rocket that crashed because an angular velocity sensor had been installed upside down. Beamdog is kinda like that, but for RPGs. Everything they do seems to come with unintended effects. Sometimes these effects are good, other times they bring the whole thing crashing down. It's the most chaotic neutral of all game development companies. With Beamdog, you never know what you are going to get. Take Baldur's Gate 1 Enhanced Edition. Included in the package is a brand new expansion pack called the Black Pits. It's a sequence of well-designed arena fights. These are exactly the kind of tactical encounters that game desperately needed. Except, the expansion is not actually part of the game. The Black Pits is something you launch separately from the main menu. It's like a separate game mode. So you can either have fights that are good, or you can have the rest of Baldur's Gate. Thanks, Beamdog. You really helped. Moving on, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. One of the more significant enhancements was this Steam page, actually. By taking advantage of the Steam storefront functionality, Beamdog effectively reopened the game for active development. Because of this, Neverwinter Nights was able to receive new official content nearly 2 decades after its release, including a sequel to the original campaign. Another important addition was the functioning multiplayer server browser. Neverwinter allows players to design and host their own mini MMORPGs, if that makes any sense. Multiplayer D&D campaigns with persistent worlds that can accommodate many dozens of players. This here, for example, is Cialia Online, a 23-year-old MMO hiding inside Neverwinter. It's based on the book Shadow Prowler, which was written by an individual from the Fallout community and inspired by the classic game Thief. This is just one of many examples. Thanks to Beamdog, this culture got a second lease on life. But you'll never learn any of this by listening to Beamdog's sales pitch. I think they might not know. Chaotic neutral. I could go on. I will. Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition. What can change the nature of a man? The big question of the game. Depending on how you answer this question, you tend to arrive at one of 2 very different interpretations. The sentimental interpretation says that the story wants you to think about what you did and change your nature. The metaphysical interpretation says that thinking and changing natures happened thousands of years ago and set the events of the game in motion. Instead, Torment is about understanding the strange rules that govern this reality, specifically that it is shaped by belief, and basically, you can be whatever you want. Beamdog reanimated this conversation by updating the game's user manual. On the first page, there is now a message from Chris Avalon, one of the game's original developers, who opens with an introduction to the Planescape setting. Planescape is a fascinating outlook on the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse. Inhabitants wage war, not for territory, but for belief. For what you believe creates reality. Chris, why did you put that line in? One day, in some future textbook on RPG aesthetics, there will be an entire chapter on Planescape Torment. There is a lot to learn from it. Millennials understood this story much like someone understands a song in a language they don't speak. In that sense, the game makes a compelling case that meaning is overrated and that storytelling is about creating rhythms and patterns that trigger something in the brain. Thanks for contributing to the philosophy of art, Beamdog. So anyway, Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition. Actually, first things first. This exploration and critique of Beamdog's low cortisol content is generously bankrolled by Boot.dev. This video sponsor, Boot.dev, offers a curriculum designed to teach you how to code in an engaging, fast-paced and addictive way, thanks to gamified features like XP, levels, and quests. The idea is to trick your brain into learning useful skills. All content is actually free to read and watch. A paid membership simply unlocks advanced features. There is a 30-day no questions asked refund policy. Go to boot.dev and use my code Warlockracy to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan. That's boot.dev. So, welcome back to Athkatla, capital of the merchant nation of Amn, the city of decadence and overindulgence, and crushing poverty. Almost everything is legal in the city of Coin, including lewdness and slavery. But not dark elves, walking the streets while dark elf is forbidden.
Burn it! Burn her!
The penalty for such transgression is death. This is the Copper Coronet, a shady establishment in the city's slums. We'll be staying here between adventures. Who are we? A private security company. Meet our protagonist, Captain Vashar Vo. Her planar ship is parked nearby. And these are her friends. Jahira, a half-elf druid, Anaman Delrin, a Fail son and a would-be knight, Korgan Bloodaxe, responsible for 80% of our kill count. Mazzy Fenton, a halfling, has to endure constant verbal abuse from the Red Wizard Edwin Odessiron, and from others. This outfit is a mess. In short, welcome to Baldur's Gate 2. To get the first Beamdog companion, we travel to the graveyard district of Athkatla. A long time ago, a thief named Hexxat was given a task to steal a powerful artifact from the tomb of Dragomir the Red, a vampire warlord who possessed a rare ability to walk in daylight. But Dragomir caught the thief and turned Hexxat into a vampire. He then imprisoned her inside the dungeon. This happened 200 years ago. From her prison, Hexxat used her vampiric mind control power to manipulate another thief into manipulating our party to rescue Hexxat, a vampire psychopath. Welcome aboard. As a vampire, Hexxat has abilities no other companions have. For starters, if she is killed in battle, she doesn't actually die, she just turns into a bat. Hexxat's ability scores cannot fall below 1. This means that she doesn't care about mind flayers eating her brain. Finally, she's immune to many annoying status effects, including fatigue. I should make a mention of this. One of the most significant changes in the Enhanced Edition is that AI automation is now enabled by default. This results in a noticeable drop in difficulty. A player might forget to trigger Korgan's Berserker Rage before every fight, but the AI will not. Mages and bards will automatically apply buffs, Anaman will self-buff to 25 strength, and so on. I'm not going to blame Beamdog for this, but make a mental note that this game is much easier than you remember. So anyways, Hexxat. Even though there are elements of the dialogue and the design that feel moddy, I can tell that the author had a lot of fun creating Hexxat. There is a lot more to this character we'll be exploring very soon. On our way back to the coronet, we ran into an old acquaintance. Actually, that's not what happened. What should have happened is that in the Bridge District, you stumble upon Nerra, a Beamdog companion originally introduced back in Baldur's Gate 1 Enhanced Edition. But that didn't trigger for me. I must have broken the sequence somewhere. I don't think this is Beamdog's fault. So anyways, Nerra's storyline is about smuggling magically gifted individuals to safety, keeping them out of the hands of the Red Wizards of Thay. I was a bit disappointed to miss her side quest, but after looking into it, the player feedback seems to be pretty mixed, so maybe this is for the best. In any case, thanks to the magic of console commands, we still get to experience some of her content. May I venture to guess, Nerra, that you have never been courted by a proper knight? I've got a feeling I'm about to get a taste. Feeling and tasting would come later, dear lady. Oh, gross. Go away. Be careful around Eneman. He's not even a real knight. It's a long story. Contrary to popular belief, hard incompatibilities between companions in Baldur's Gate 2 are relatively rare, but they are much more common among the Enhanced Edition characters. Nerra cannot be in the same party with Edwin, and the cleric Eneman Delrin makes it very clear that he won't stay in a party with a vampire. This means we'll need a new cleric pretty soon, and I know where to get one. Would you look at that? They're burning a witch outside the city prison. Let's watch.
Burn her! Burn the drow! I burn the elf! Riven, I'm mad! I have done nothing to any of you!
Viconia de Veer is one of this series' iconic companions.
Insertus.
We really have to stop meeting like this. Almost everyone in the party hates her, and she hates them right back. As a drow, Viconia has innate magic resistance, which is extremely useful, but her constitution is low, which is the central weakness of this character. Viconia is not part of the additions made by Beamdog, but she has extensive interactions with both the old and the new characters, touching on several of this game's themes of human condition, such as racism. Tell me, Harper, who was who with your parentage? Father the Dathir, Mother the Reveal, or Father Human, Mother Elven? It's always confusing with you crossbred mongrels. She also explores the idea of lookism. Mazzy, I know little of you. I have the tiniest inkling we've met. Or was it another of your diminutive people? You all look the same to me. Listen to me, drow. Though our leader has made the foolish choice of allowing you to join the party, you shall receive no welcome from me. You don't frighten me, pretend paladin. I've had taller footstools. And on top of everything else, Viconia is consorting with vampires lesbianly. A woman must work doubly hard to prove herself in this world. And a drow triply so. But you do so with grace and poise. You don't do so badly yourself. This is a developing subplot. There is also the matter of Hexxat's side quest. The woman is in the employ of a mysterious figure known only as L. The fact that it took her 200 years to complete a job doesn't seem to have affected that professional relationship. A few nights later, Elle contacts us via a courier, and it looks like we have another job to do. Far to the east, past Anne, past the Sea of Fallen Stars, on the continent of Karatur, there lies the nation of Sholung. We get there by using Hexxat's tomb walking ability from the Athkatla graveyard. Because one house of the dead is connected to all others by invisible threads.
Very good.
Our visit will unfortunately be limited to this dungeon. There are three things you do here. First, there is a battle against a threat from the Underdark, which is a Mind Flayer spellcaster. Then, the Guardian Spirit demands we undergo some sort of combat trial. But Hexxat says there is an alternative, and I have her pickpocket the key from one of the incorporeal spirits, which feels weird to do. This is how we get to the final room and fight a mummy bosslet for an artifact Elle wants us to recover.
The Doom Guard, I strike a blow!
It's a fun, if short, tomb riding adventure. Back to the coronet. My dear lady, you know, every time you call me that, I imagine myself with antlers. Then, as a roebuck, I will chase you, dear lady, and make you pant in the soft grass.
Animan wasn't quite this forward in the original, non-enhanced Baldur's Gate, but making him more blunt and desperate works as a form of character development. I like it.
And then, a week later, Elle contacts us again. This time, we are going to Zakhara, the Land of Fate, one of the 7 continents of Toril. This dungeon is excellent, and it features one of the best wizard battles in the game. The mages spam lightning spells that ricochet off the walls of this tiny room, so I summoned a bunch of creatures and watched the wizards electrocute themselves to death. The final battle is actually optional. Elle sent us here to recover an artifact. Diplomacy or violence, how we do it is up to us. This marks the end of Hexxat's questline, at least until the expansion. And taken together, these 3 dungeons offer about as much content as the Diarnese Castle Siege from the main game. A very promising beginning. I hope the rest of Beamdog's additions are on this level. When it comes to battle, my skills are passable. There are other places where I positively excel. Perhaps I could show you sometime. It's a shame your flesh is so cold, or for a moment I might have been tempted. You'd have no regrets come the morning, I promise you. I have heard such promises before. While these 2 are occupied, there is something we need to take care of. You are looking at the Planar Sphere, an interdimensional ship and our property, parked in the Athkatla slums. To keep our parking rights, we had to strike a deal with the authorities. One of the conditions for their support is that we take on and train our own mage apprentices. Different classes get different strongholds with different quest chains. This one is for the mages. The Enhanced Edition added a new character class, Shaman, but they get no new stronghold content. The first task is to have our apprentices craft a magical item. The more powerful the item, the higher the risk that one of them dies in the process. If we manage to keep all the apprentices alive, we'll be rewarded with a substantial amount of XP at the end of the quest. Another Beamdog character making a return is the half-orc blackguard Dorne.
What are you looking at?
He is the ambassador of that phenomenon when you take so much cow steroids it changes your sexuality, thus he is romanceable with every gender. A blackguard is an evil counterpart to the paladin. Clerics and paladins get their power from gods. Blackguards, by contrast, serve evil creatures. In Dorne's case, that's a Pissan Tanari demon Urgothoz. This companion is written in a very serious, humorless way, which makes him unintentionally a bit whimsical, so stupid are his problems and his abilities. Why do you serve Urgothoz? He gives me power. What sort of power? Well, Dorne can poison his weapon, I guess. Meanwhile, Paladin Keldorn Firecam can shut down magic in a 15-foot radius by snapping his fingers. Blackguards are deeply unserious.
Make peace with your worthless god.
Dorne's companion quest begins with a bunch of murder hobo assignments, which are quite entertaining. Task 1. We go into the Order of the Radiant Heart, interrupt a wedding, and kill everyone. A huge battle in the middle of what usually is a social location.
Now you die!
Task number 2. Kill a group of Helm clerics in the wilderness south of Athkatla. This one is even more involved. We are surrounded, pre-buffs are mandatory, and I had to burn Vashar's spell sequencer to nuke a cluster of paladins. All in a day's work. On the way back, we are ambushed by yet another group of paladins, and by this point, Dorne is starting to suspect that selling his soul to a demon in exchange for a power to poison his weapon wasn't the brightest idea he ever had. So we go to this place, the Resurrection Gorge, a beautiful new area that has very little fighting and is mostly about quiet exploration. The reason the tree is burned is that a local druid accidentally opened a portal to the abyss at its roots. We can use the portal to summon Urgathoz and then kill it. Dorne can pledge himself to another Tanari or kill this creature as well, earning his freedom. Unfortunately, slaying both demons turns Dorne into a fallen blackguard, disabling his iconic weapon poison ability. So I didn't do it. The strength of this quest are battles and exploration. The weakness is certainly the dialogue, which is stilted and too generic.
Aside from that, admittedly huge issue, everything else is quite strong.
What is not strong is the friends with benefits relationship between Viconia and Hex. We must talk, Hexxat. I can think of other, more stimulating ways to occupy our time. This has been amusing, vampire, but if you think it is more than that, you are mistaken. Ah, that is regrettable, but not unexpected. Will you be all right? You flatter yourself, Drow. Today's lesson is about scribing high-level mage scrolls, but the usual rules apply.
The higher the spell's level, the greater the chance that something will go wrong. I won't spend too much time on the planar ship, since it isn't really relevant to the enhanced edition. That said, it's one of the more elaborate strongholds, and the apprentices are only one of its stories. It's the kind of concept that could support an entire game. Commanding a planar vessel, a modern take on Spelljammer.
Korgan, I'm interested in whether your clan has ever had interaction with House de Veer. Our sphere of influence was quite close to your Blood Axe clan's stronghold near Tathara Vernt Zithra Heroloth. Don't speak that vile tongue to me. As for that house of yours, I burned it and relieved myself on the embers and the dead. Speaking of houses, our friend Mazzy the Halfling has a 2-bedroom apartment in Trademeet Ann. This is our current destination because it's where the next new companion is. 2 new companions, actually.
Yes, Abil?
Trademeet is the second biggest city in the game. Many quests take you to this place, and there is even more to do here in the enhanced edition. This is Rasaad. He is a monk. At low levels, monks are kind of about nothing, but as they level up, they accumulate interesting features, like various status effect immunities, magic resistance, and fast movement speed. Personality-wise, a lawful good human Rasaad is unfortunately one of the most uncool characters in Baldur's Gate, which is saying a lot. He was introduced in the first game's enhanced edition, and Beamdog brought him back in this. Rasaad's side quest is about investigating a cult that claims that the goddess of moon and the deity of darkness are actually the same entity. Viconia is the cleric of Shar, the mistress of the night, so she has a lot to say if you bring her along. The quest unfolds in 2 parts. First, we explore this peaceful wilderness area, but appearances can be deceiving.
Eventually, we make our way to the Temple of the Cult, hidden away in the northern mountains. Here, the monks keep a number of animals in cages. This is where we find the secret companion, Wilson the Bear, who joins the party after we rescue him. Mechanically, he is solid, high strength and a good HP pool. Being a bear, Wilson doesn't do companion banter. Vashar is the only person who understands him. His weakness is the armor class. He takes a lot of damage from everything. This is a good moment to showcase just how much the built-in AI automation changes the game. Take this fight against hostile monks in an ancient amphitheater. During the battle, I interacted with the UI exactly once to make Korgan drink a healing potion.
Get me some healing!
Case number 2, a battle against an adventuring party. During this confrontation, I didn't interact with the game at all. It played itself. The characters selected targets and used abilities on their own. We won without casualties. I need to stress that AI automation was always a feature of these games. What Beamdog did was make it enabled by default. And by doing that, they might have accidentally removed gameplay from Baldur Gates. This is hardly a training machine for the mind. Now you could say, thanks for the critical analysis, but of course the battles are easy. The party is way overleveled for this. And sure, that's part of the issue. But most of the content in the monastery is of appropriate difficulty. As the quest progresses, we infiltrate the cult and are forced into a series of trials. One of them has you fighting a trio of invisible stalkers solo while blind. That's not an easy fight. And then later, the temple is assaulted by the cultists of Shar, Viconia's people.
Very well.
This battle is sophisticated. You can't see them at first, but there are 2 stealthed assassins going for your back line. Up front, the cultists have armored fighters, and behind them, archers, clerics, and a mage. The fight was difficult enough that I had to reload it a few times. Once again, Vashar's spell sequencer saves the day. And that's that. A fun quest. I liked it. Viconia is upset, but she will do absolutely nothing about it. Rasaad has some redeeming qualities. He's the one who initiates the humiliating reverse hair-mogging of the Red Wizard Edwin Odessiron. Tell me, friend Edwin, why do you always keep your hood up? It is curious, wizard. You keep your hood up more than I do. If you look at Rasaad, he has an impressively clean, bald head. That's actually how a red wizard is supposed to look as well. But Edwin is a bit out of touch with the customs back home. He doesn't quite maintain the traditional Thayan look, which is a source of quiet embarrassment for him. That means absolutely nothing to us, but to Edwin it's like the green bubbles thing. Is it just a fashion choice, or... It's no modern fashion. Every Thayan I've met has been too happy to display his shaven head. I will not discuss this with you. I like the idea that Hexxat quickly caught up on modern fashion trends after spending 200 years locked in a box. In the Planar Sphere, a government official delivers a graduation speech. Soon our students will be entering the employ of the Cowled Wizards, the very authorities who prohibit the use of magic in Amn. Yet another thing that is forbidden in a city where everything is legal. If you like the idea of it, there is an enhanced edition compatible mod that provides more planar ship content. This adventure would be incomplete if we didn't test our Beamdog party against a high-level threat.
You there. I would have a word with you.
This is Lord Giarden. He has a problem. Marauding monsters have invaded his holdings at Windspear Hills. You see, the story setup is that we are tricked into attacking a group of Radiant Heart Paladins who look like monsters to us because of the illusion magic. And this is supposed to destroy our reputation in Athkatla. Vasharvo cancelled? This is actually one of the earliest quests in the game, but in our run it ended up being one of the last. And by this point, let's count. 1, 2, 3. Yes, this is the 4th group of paladins we've massacred. I used to know someone from the Harpers, that's Jaheira's organization, who said that catastrophic violence seems to follow us wherever we go. I wonder what happened to him. Oh yeah, he was killed. By me. Windspear is a dungeon with suspiciously large doors. Bad sign? Good sign? You decide. Baldur's Gate 2 has limited encounter scaling. Stronger parties sometimes get more complicated encounters. We are very high level, so the game spawned this absolutely unholy swarm of vampires and mummies. This feature is not usually very oppressive though. Another highlight of the dungeon is a labyrinth section where we assemble an artifact piece by piece. And eventually, we meet Lord Jeardan in his true form. Our final exam. Well, here goes nothing.
Grey-faced cur. A skull-breaker!
No! It cannot end like this! I shall not allow it!
If you do this quest at a low level, the red dragon might be too hard, so you'll have to leave and come back later. The local narrative is still very satisfying because just prior to this, we killed Tazok, Sarivok's ally who slipped away from us in the first game. By the way, Beamdog, why did you revert Tazok to his smaller Baldur's Gate 1 style sprite? In the normal, unenhanced Baldur's Gate 2, he had a more imposing look, as if he had eaten and trained hell of a lot preparing for a rematch with Vashar. This wasn't BioWare's mistake to be fixed. It was character development. Come on, Beamdog. You have surpassed the exceedingly low expectations I had of you. Wilson and Dorne contributed, Rasaad not so much. Korgan and Vashar were the highest damage dealers. And that's how I turned the 3 heads of Danak into the 2.5 heads of Danak. A fine tale, dwarf. I am reminded of the time I slew a pack of lycanthropes in the Worm Forest. Oh, aye? What happened? I slew a pack of werewolves in the Worm Forest. Ha! Ha ha ha! You call that a story? It was barely a sentence. She just doesn't get us. It should not surprise you that the most chaotic neutral studio in the industry is at it again. They made another expansion that isn't playable within the game it's meant to expand. The Black Pits 2 Gladiators of Thay is a direct follow-up to Black Pits, a sequence of arena battles set somewhere in the nation of Thay, thus the name. Between the matches, we explore this large social area that's the size of a small town. This is a non-weave zone, so no pre-buffing our party. Surprisingly, there are quite a few characters here I found myself kind of caring about. The dialogue frequently references the original Black Pits, and it really feels like both campaigns are designed to be played back-to-back with the same party. The next sequential game is Baldur's Gate Throne of Baal, where some of the Beamdog companion storylines will continue. We will learn the identity of Hexxat's mysterious employer, El. Dorne will meet some of the people he killed in the Planar Afterlife. And probably something happens to Nerra as well.
The sun is just, but merciless.
Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition Review. The stars of the show are the new characters and their companion quests. Hexxat, the vampire treasure hunter. That's A-tier concept and quest content. I like that they separated her companion quest into digestible chunks. C-tier mechanics. Instead of a redundant thief, she should have been an illegal dual class, like, say, 3 levels of ranger dual classed into a thief, just to bring some mechanical flavor. C-tier dialogue writing. It's not all hopeless. Some of the dialogue solutions for bosses are very clever. However, as with our Baldur's Gate 2 video, the lines I read were cherry-picked and heavily edited, making them basically inauthentic. We didn't explore Nelia's content much, but user feedback doesn't inspire me with confidence. However, mechanically she is fine and her companion banter is good. Dorne, the conflicted servant of a demon. Once again, there is some excellent quest content. Battles against organized parties are a strength of this game. The otherworldly feeling new locations in what seems to be Tethir were fun to explore. Oh my Urga thaws, D-tier dialogue writing. The lines were so dumb, they unintentionally improved the quest, making it funny. Rasaad, the lawful good monk, A+ quest content. Exploring the wilderness and going through trials in the temple and the battle in the end are all very enjoyable. A monk NPC is a strong addition, and their gimmicks become more important at Baldur's Gate 2 level range. Wilson the bear is a fun companion, but since he doesn't partake in party banter, which is a big part of the game, taking him can feel like a waste of a slot. It's clear that Beamdog are capable of designing locations and encounters that, at times, surpass BioWare. And Beamdog has some interesting ideas as well. But what they do not have is the ability to make sentences out of words. Psst. Beamdog. Beamdog, hear me out. Planet Alcatraz Enhanced Edition. Achievement Review. The Enhanced Edition includes Steam achievements, offering a quantified look on how players engage with the game. First of all, who counts as a player? It would seem a player is someone who has at least launched the game once. Individuals who, say, purchase the game in bundles but never fired it up don't count. So listen to this. Only 32% of players made it out of the tutorial dungeon. 17.1% completed the Copper Coronet side quest, one of the earliest side quests in the game. 14.5% sailed to Spellhold. This is basically the share of players who have meaningfully progressed through Baldur's Gate 2. 10.4% defeated Irenicus and made it to the ending. For comparison, in Pillars of Eternity, this figure is 15.1%. In Pathfinder Kingmaker, it's 9.7%. In Rogue Trader, it's 17.9%. In Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition, only 7.8% of the players have absorbed all 3 incarnations in the Fortress of Regrets. Moving on, companion statistics. Cerned the Druid appears to be the least popular follower. Only 4.3% of players have completed his quest. Frankly, I forgot that he was even in this game. Next is Yoshimo, with only 4.5% seeing his story through to the end. But that's also understandable, as a pure thief isn't super useful. Mazzy the Halfling follows at 4.7% for her personal quest. Somewhat unexpectedly, Edwin isn't much higher. Just 5.2% of players have completed the first half of his questline.
And that's one of the best characters in the game. This makes me think about the disgusting power suggestion has over RPGs. Within the Baldur's Gate community, there is a long-standing myth that exaggerates the dangers of companion conflicts. Most companion conflicts are good and desirable. They do not cause the characters to fight each other or leave the party or anything of the sort. Don't be afraid of combining good and evil characters in one group. The drama of a companion conflict is what you want. This is what makes this game special. Furthermore, I suggest that you check out our merch store, bobruisk-shop.fourthwall.com. The next video is Rogue Trader, and then we'll have a book episode about the Night Watch series. That chapter will feature the Russian president as a character.
Yes, I found someone even more well-connected than Goblin Puchkov. Take care.